Alright, so this is going to be kind of a slapped together impromptu video. It shouldn't take all that long. I figured that if I'm already going to post a video that's not really in my wheelhouse, that being my recent review of Godzilla 2014, I might as well do it again and, turn things up to freaking 11 while I'm at it. That's not really what my thought process was. I'm just stalling for time. Because there's a part of me that doesn't want to make this video. There's a bigger part of me that does. But there is a part of me that doesn't still. And for those of you sitting here looking at the title of this video and wondering, what is this about? Why is this on this channel? This is in response to a video that I made fairly recently that should be popping up in the little corner thing of what's it right now. It was a response to a really gross video that tried to equate what it's like facing backlash from having homophobic views with someone who is part of the LGBT QIA plus community coming out to their families and friends. And it pissed me off a lot. But anyway, in that video, for those who don't want to go and actually watch the whole thing, in that video I did say that while I certainly praise LGBT plus representation because I feel that it's a good thing, that anything which increases visibility of people in the LGBT plus community or just people who fall under any of those monikers but don't actually consider themselves part of the actual community is a good thing. I genuinely believe that. But that I wouldn't say that I support the community above and beyond that, because I'm not a part of it, really. And this video is in response to a comment that I got on that video, because for those of you who don't follow my Tumblr, first of all, you should be. I'm very funny. No, I'm not. I just repost pictures of dogs. But anyway, for those of you who don't follow my Tumblr, I have been very vocal over there about being ace. And for those of you who don't know what that is, put very simply, from my perspective, at least, it means that while I do experience a desire to form a romantic bond, and I do find people physically attractive, I don't find them attractive in a way which would compel me to want to have sex with them. And yeah, AJ just said the word sex, get over it. In short, I don't really have a sex drive. Like, yes, it is weird to say this in a video that's going to go up on my channel. I could see it happening with the right person, but it's something that I'd really have to think about. I'd have to really noodle on whether or not I thought it was something that I would want to do in the first place. And maybe I've mentioned something about it here on the channel too. I honestly don't remember if I have or not, but either way, I have been vocal about it online. And so one of the commenters on that other video, the response to that gross video that I mentioned, which I'd tell you what the title of that video itself is, but I don't know what it is anymore. They keep changing it. It's actually kind of funny. But anyway, one of the commenters on my response to that video was very confused as to why I don't consider myself part of the LGBT plus community if I'm ace. And even if I remembered who this person was who left the comment, I wouldn't tell you who they are, because at least as far as I can tell, they deleted their comment on their own. I'm not sure why. I wasn't upset by their comment. I wouldn't have been upset by their comment. I even had a response drafted out which explained a lot of this, that I was going to pin their comment so that people could see it. So I have to assume they have some reason why they wanted to remove the comment themselves. And hopefully it wasn't because they thought I'd be upset with them. That's part of the reason why I'm making this. I want them to know that I'm not upset with people asking me questions about this. In fact, if any of you guys have questions about this or my experience being ace, ask away in the comments. I really don't mind. If you ask something that I think goes too far, I will tell you, and I will try to be as friendly about it as I can. But they were, as I said, curious as to why I don't consider myself part of the LGBTQIAA plus community. There's a different acronym people are using now, and I can't remember what it is. But they want to know why I don't consider myself a part of the community if I'm ace. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. The first of which is I'm just not a community kind of guy. I wish I was. I really wish I was sometimes. Like, I wish I was the kind of guy who would go to the corner barbecue down the street and mingle with my neighbors, or to go with a less 1970s example, I wish I were the kind of guy who could hook up with a Facebook group and go play D&D with them. Like, I used to play D&D pretty regularly with a couple of really close friends, and I loved it, and I miss it, and I wish I was the kind of person who was comfortable reaching out to people to set something like that up. But I've always been the kind of person who, if I establish a friendship with someone, it's through someone who I'm already friends with, which I know seems like a paradox, but I promise it is a thing that happens to people as introverted as I am. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not really a community kind of guy. Unless somebody reaches out to me, or I really feel strongly that I should reach out to someone, I tend to just kind of do my own thing. So already, I wouldn't really, submerge myself in the LGBT plus community anyway. But then, on top of that, there is a very vocal group of people who do consider themselves part of that community, who don't want aces in the community to begin with. And I want to be absolutely clear here. I am not saying that everyone who considers themselves a part of the LGBT plus community is like this. I'm not saying that I feel like I'm entitled to be accepted by everyone in the community. I'm not even necessarily saying that I want to be accepted into the LGBT plus community. I am just saying that there is a vocal group within the community that doesn't want aces in the community. They don't feel like ace people face discrimination for being ace in their day-to-day lives the way that people who are gay or who are bisexual, etc., do. And I could give you all kinds of facts and figures and point you to links which refute that very definitively. Just putting that out there. But that's not what this video is about. And I want to be clear, man, I'm saying that a lot in this video, but I do want to be clear that I'm not saying that I'm withholding becoming part of the LGBT community because I feel like some members of the community don't like me. I'm not in some way trying to punish them or make a statement by not becoming immersed in that community. It's just that between my natural inclinations and the fact that I have had to deal with people like this, even on my Tumblr, which is usually a pretty friendly, open, and accepting place, it just isn't my thing. Maybe I would have come to consider myself part of the community eventually, as it was through Tumblr and through people on Tumblr and the posts that they are making that I realized I was ace in the first place. Maybe if I continued down that proverbial rabbit hole a little bit further, I eventually would have come to consider myself part of the community. But that just, it passed me by because of some of the things that I was faced with online when I realized that I was ace and decided to come out. And again, it's not like I'm salty with the entire LGBT plus community over this. I do know that this is a very vocal minority. But I hope that I've done a good enough job of explaining why a community like that wouldn't necessarily feel appealing to someone with my own personal inclinations towards socializing to begin with. All of that said, though, I do think that aces, especially young aces, should probably seek out some form of community, whether it's just ace-only communities or pockets of the LGBT plus community that aren't as judgmental as the ones that I've had to deal with. As ace representation is still kind of a minor thing, I'm sure there are a lot of young ace people out there who don't realize that they're ace, whose lives would be bettered by understanding that. I want to see communities like that thrive and grow. I do want to see ace people become more accepted in the LGBT plus community, if that is their inclination. I want to see more ace representation. That's in part why the main character of my upcoming book is ace. This may even be a thing that I start to talk about more on the channel. Maybe I'll do some ace activism and stuff. I honestly don't know. This video was very impromptu and spontaneous, so it's not like I've really planned ahead where I want to go with the subject matter yet. But I do think that creating communities where ace people can thrive is a good thing. It's something that we should be striving to accomplish. I don't know whether or not a community like that will ever be for me, or really what I can do to make that happen. Though, as I said before, if anyone has any questions at all about being ace, I can't remember if I said it earlier, but ace is short for asexual. But like I said before, if anyone has any questions about being ace, or what it's like for me being ace, or what my experience has been being ace, of course, ask. If this video can help anyone, anywhere, understand themselves a little bit better than they did before, I consider this a win, despite the fact that I'm super uncomfortable talking about all this stuff. And I guess if some of you guys watching this do know of a place where I might be able to go and interact with some other aces online, I wouldn't be opposed to hearing about that from you guys in the comment section down below. And as per usual, I do want to know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section. But I want to be clear about something. I don't usually police the comments super hard, but just like the comment section on the video that this is sort of spinning off of, I am going to be policing the comments there. If you start shit, you're going to get hit with your comment being taken down, and you're probably going to get blocked from the channel too. That's a really terrible analogy. Point is, play nice, or I will stop you from playing. It's really that simple. Either way though, guys, this has been AJ22, opening up way more than I'm usually comfortable with, and I will talk to you guys later.